So the DCEU has officially ended, although some would argue it's been declared dead for a minute and has been resuscitated on several occasions to the point of only momentarily gasping for air. It was finally put out of its misery with Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom, which I went to go see this past Thursday. I was in fact running a tad bit late, but I got to the theater. I was about to grab myself a dog, but the lady said the glizzy machine was broke, so I got myself a refreshing cherry Coke, which was $8 I found out. I am gonna throw myself into the polar bear pit, but I got to the theater with Riz, of course, and sat my ass down, and when it ended, I went to the restroom to piss out that cherry Coke and was greeted by a man fighting for his life. But after that, I didn't hate it. Honestly, it's a bad movie. It really is. There's enough bad in it to be a bad movie, but it also has a decent amount of good in it. Enough good that I can't say I hated the movie. I also think my expectations for this movie, plus any other movie, is a lot different, especially where this movie is placed at in the universe that it's in. I don't know if it's because I've seen the character of Thor reach amazing heights only to fall to perplexing lows. Like, how do you do this to Gore? Fucking dumbass. But what I'm saying is maybe the level of investment I had for Thor versus Aquaman is different, because I would put this movie over Love and Thunder any day. And I saw Thor as having been in a position to flourish within a pretty stable and reliable universe, whereas ever since BVS, I've been quite uncertain of this universe and its prosperity. Realistically, maybe it was Suicide Squad from 2016, but that was kind of when I started to suspect this shit might not go the way I thought it would. So from that point, I just took the films as they came for the most part. If one was good, I was like, hell yeah. But I really didn't have too many expectations that this universe would flourish in the same way that the MCU did. So although I loved the first Aquaman, it was probably my favorite DCEU movie at the time it came out, this one being bad was not really that disappointing. Also, I did kind of enjoy it. At a certain point, when you are the movie that is the period on a decade of wasted potential, there's not much you can do but just ride it out. But if we're going to go into the negatives, I would say the plot is just kind of stupid. Like, basically Black Manta finds a trident that makes him powerful enough to kill Aquaman, but it starts possessing him with the spirit of the original owner, the guy that was killed by Atlan and like imprisoned in like a block of ice. And basically it calls for him to burn this shit called Orachilium, crazy ass name to be having in the movie. But this mofo is burning this shit, fucking up the planet, melting the ice caps, because that's where the mofo is imprisoned. And the whole movie is just a very heavy-handed climate change ad or global warming ad, which, hey, you know, I'm all for treating the earth well, you know, doing as much green shit as possible, and I get that's the type of superhero Aquaman is, but I'm sure there was a more subtle approach somewhere out there. Black Manta has to get the royal blood as well to free this bastard from the curse that made him imprisoned in the ice, so he kidnaps little Arthur Curry Jr. instead of just collecting blood from any one of their battles. There was some good CGI, but there was enough bad CGI that I'd call most of the CGI not good. But nothing really changed from beginning to end, character-wise at least, except maybe Orm and his brother's relationship. Like, the brother dynamic I think was good. Patrick Wilson also does this run, and he runs like with his arms and back of his body, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Is this some like 6th grade Naruto fucking advanced PE run? I thought that was pretty funny. I'm just a fan of Patrick Wilson, so I love seeing him in anything. He was good throughout the whole movie, and honestly, probably, if not Jason Momoa, he was my favorite part of the movie. Orm is a badass, but it was actually kind of nice to see him almost getting some kind of redemption for what he did in the first movie. The action was pretty good, or I should say at least the fight scenes, very good camera work. The sets were very intricate and cool, and the armors were just fucking awesome. Like, whoever is responsible for the suits deserves some top, especially Mara, of the pre-ordered variety, of course. This movie can be guilty of the same crime of not taking itself as seriously as it should have, just like Love and Thunder, but it's definitely not to that extreme. I'd say it's not on the same level, but it's closer to Ragnarok in tone than Love and Thunder. It could have greatly benefited from taking itself just a bit more seriously. Not that it would have solved all of its problems, but I think it would have been substantially better. For the most part, it was a dumb, entertaining movie with sprinkles of good stuff. Everybody's likable enough too. Just about everybody, right? Like, whenever crazy ass Amber Heard would come through, hashtag Team Johnny. I get they're both bad people, even though one has brought a lot more joy to my life, but damn, she was looking fine as fuck the whole movie. I almost pulled a Lillian Pumpernickel inside the movie theater, but legit, she uses her powers to redirect a stream of baby pee into Arthur's face, which I don't know who signed off on that. She was probably aiming for the bed, I bet, but since she can't manipulate shit, she missed and hit his face. Also, she had said something about about Jason Momoa coming to work dressed as Johnny Depp to torment her, and I'm just like, don't they already dress the same anyway? Like, maybe he was just fucking feeling himself one day and she thought that. Jason Momoa was great as always, just the same as the first. He balances the silly pretty well, or at least the silly flows in a much more badass way coming from him that's way more forgivable. First part of the movie even felt like they just recorded Jason Momoa doing the shit he does just every day, but he was great as always. I wish they gave him better stuff, obviously. Yaya also did a great job and the best with what he was given, and for the most part he gave us an intimidating and formidable villain with his Black Manta. Again, the CGI might not have been the best, and I think I saw some reused footage, but everything, even if it looked bad, was still pretty interesting to look at. So that helped out a lot, and shout out to all the artists that worked on this and the man James Wan for all the creative designs. That's why I'm going to be giving Aquaman 2 The Lost Kingdom a fluctuating 5 to 6 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend seeing this in theaters, truthfully, but when it comes out on HBO Max, knock yourself out, players. It can be fun to have on. You really also have to take into account the fact that this is basically a story with no potential of having a future. So they did what they could, and I appreciate the effort. This movie is already being shitted on by the Snyder cultists, which they can do that. That's totally predictable, but totally fine. Like, Aquaman not doing good doesn't make BVS a good movie. It doesn't retroactively change the past decade, and you won't get everybody to say, you were actually right, Zack was right all along. That's just not gonna happen. It doesn't make Rebel Moon a good movie. It doesn't make Rebel Moon a bad movie, which we'll get into next week. BVS came out in 2016 and people are still talking about it, is one I hear all the time from them, and it is fucking inane. That is because you bring it up every other day and hail it as a misunderstood masterpiece and often bash other better movies for getting opportunities that they got because people actually pretty much universally like them. And so people troll you and then you get into arguments. That's exactly what is happening. And it really sucks that this is how the last decade of DC in live action culminated and how this kind of turned the fandom into this thing. But we will be on to bigger and better things. I presume hella better things in the future. And this, again, is not to shit on the movie or Zack Snyder or his fans. A lot of awesome fans that I know that are really cool. The cultists, though, can suck it. But not even to shit on the DCEU, because there were things I truly loved about it. But the DCU is now on track by a tried and true deliverer of quality stories, and I couldn't be more excited. I hope Momoa comes back as Lobo like he's always wanted to, but I will always appreciate his time as Aquaman, and I stand by the first Aquaman being one of the greatest comic book movies ever. But let me know what y'all thought of this movie if you've seen it, of course. If you haven't seen it, what the hell are you doing? Go and see it, or don't. Honestly, maybe just watch the video, truthfully. But are you glad the DCEU is dead, and are you looking forward to the future with the DCU and just DC in live action? Because obviously there's going to be Elseworld stories like the Batman 2 and, you know, what have you. Let me know though, guys. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want to subscribe, I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. I hope all of you guys get all the presents and candy that you want. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.